The Egyptian Book of the Dead is not merely a collection of ancient texts containing wisdom and guidance. For the Egyptians, it represented much more. They viewed death as an important and meaningful event, not as a final end of existence, but rather as the beginning of a long and complex journey into another, unseen world. In their understanding, death became a kind of bridge, a transitional stage during which each soul had to undergo numerous trials, relying solely on the knowledge, wisdom, and preparation gained during life. For this reason, over thousands of years, the Egyptians sought many ways to prepare for this significant moment, investing considerable effort and faith into constructing grand monuments, symbols of belief and hope for eternal prosperity. One of the most vivid testaments to their spiritual endeavors are the pyramids, majestic stone monuments that served not only to commemorate the great pharaohs, but also as secure protection for souls on their path to eternity. These structures emphasized the sacredness of this transition and acted as a kind of roadmap into the afterlife. For the Egyptians, each day was filled with awareness of the importance of preparing for this passage. They did everything possible to make their lives a worthy foundation for the future journey. However, physical constructions, pyramids, tombs, altars were only part of the accumulated knowledge and precautions. A deeper and more essential component of preparation lay in collecting and preserving ancient knowledge, rituals, spells, and magical formulas designed to help the soul overcome obstacles awaiting it beyond life. These teachings comprised a rich repository of secret doctrines and ceremonies passed down through generations, including complex protective spells, guidance on the journey, and moments of exceptional spiritual power. In the land of ancient Egypt, there existed a whole corpus of texts, now known as the Book of the Dead. Its name in ancient Egyptian translates as chapters on going out of darkness, highlighting its core purpose: to help souls emerge from the abyss of ignorance and fear and find the way to light. Despite the simplicity of its name, each copy represented a unique version, created specifically for a particular deceased. Since priests and scribes crafted individual collections filled with rich illustrations and spells in hopes that their client would successfully overcome all the trials of this arduous journey. These texts contained countless incantations, formulas, prayers, and rituals designed to sanctify the passage into the afterlife. Often, these writings were inscribed on various objects associated with the deceased, ranging from the surface of the coffin and the walls of the tomb to precious jewelry worn by pharaohs and the wealthy. The most famous find, the golden mask of Tutankhamun, serves as one of the most vivid examples of the art and beliefs of that era. The Egyptians believed that such spells and rituals not only create a protective barrier for the soul, guarding it from evil forces, but also serve as a compass, guiding it through the dark realms of the afterlife, so it does not become lost or trapped in the unseen world. According to ancient Egyptian beliefs, immediately after death, the soul could not enter the eternal and blissful kingdom without undergoing preliminary trials. It faced a harsh and strict judgment, a place where the soul was tested through numerous checks and questions. It was here that each soul's fate was decided, whether to move forward or be left in darkness. 72 gods acted as advocates in this court, each representing a particular virtue or aspect of righteous living. The most important figures in this judgment were Osiris, the god of death and resurrection, and Sokar, the god of peace and justice. These deities played the role of judges, asking questions and assessing how closely the soul aligned with high morality and integrity. Each soul was required to answer questions honestly or pass through specific trials, otherwise it risked being detained. The final, most significant and dramatic moment of this journey was the ritual of heart weighing. During this ceremony, the deceased's heart was placed on one scale, with the feather of the goddess Ma'at, embodying truth, justice, and harmony, on the other. The entire purpose of this test was to determine whether the heart was lighter or at least equal in weight to the feather. If the heart was lighter, it indicated that the person had lived an honest life, strictly adhering to moral principles, without deceit or sins. In such a case, the soul could freely enter paradise, a place of bliss and union with the gods, where it became part of the eternal divine realm and glory. But if the heart was heavy with sins and wrongdoings, it failed to pass this test. In that case, a dreadful curse fell upon the heart, and from the depths of darkness, a monster named Amit devoured it. A terrible creature that consumed the soul forever, leaving it vanished and forgotten. This crucial aspect of Egyptian religion and culture at that time emphasized the sacred importance of living a virtuous and righteous life on earth, for the fate in the afterlife directly depended on it. These beliefs and rituals motivated the ancient Egyptians to see honest living, spiritual development, and thorough preparation for death, not merely as religious duties, but as sacred obligations. They invested significant resources and efforts not only in building tombs and temples, creating magical amulets, and employing mystical teachings, but also in spiritual and moral preparation to ensure a safe transition into eternity for themselves and their loved ones, free from fear and darkness. All of this served not only as protection for the deceased, but also as a sacred act of preparation for what was inevitably to come. Their final, most crucial test in the complex and mysterious world of the afterlife. Every human existence inevitably encounters the unavoidable, death, which enters life as perhaps the only guarantee of change, transformation, and new beginnings. Within this simple, seemingly obvious fact lies a profound idea. Death ceases to be merely an end and becomes an important step on the path of spiritual development and internal mastery of knowledge about the eternal nature of being. In this sense, the Book of the Dead, an ancient compendium of spells and rituals, has ceased to be just a collection of words and charms. It has transformed into a symbolic expression of the deep human longing for continued life, a symbol of how seriously and persistently the Egyptians sought ways to overcome death and maintain a connection with eternity. This knowledge and hope for immortality were preserved and transmitted from generation to generation, becoming an integral part of the culture and worldview of the people. One could say that the Book of the Dead itself became a reflection not only of religious beliefs, but also of a profound inner desire to continue existence beyond physical death, which affirms its sacral significance. This phenomenon serves as a living testament to the unwavering Egyptian pursuit of immortality, of life after death, and of preserving the self, an intact and eternally alive I in the eyes of eternity. For millennia, this hope sustained and strengthened the spirit of every individual, seeking meaning and a path to continuing their existence beyond earthly highs and lows. In contrast to the Western tradition, where death is presented as the end, in Egyptian culture it is perceived merely as a transitional stage, a temporary, burdensome ordeal that one must pass through to attain the long-awaited freedom from earthly bonds. Turning to other cultural notions, a vivid image from Buddhist teachings emerges before our eyes. In Buddhist philosophy, death has lost its tragic and strict connotation. It is viewed more as an unchanging part of the cycle of existence than as a final point. Here, death is only a moment, a fleeting instant between two states of being, between the old and the new, interaction and transformation. After leaving this world, a person is presented with a path called the bardo, or intermediate state, lasting roughly 49 days. This period is not a meaningless, joyless darkness, but on the contrary, a special epoch filled with internal tension and mysteries. During this journey, the soul confronts its own fears, illusions, and memories stored deep within the subconscious. This unique opportunity for internal assessment and purification implies that over the 49 days, the soul encounters various images, sometimes divine figures that seem to assist it on the way, sometimes trials, experiences of joy or fear, regret or hope. These experiences, sometimes quite vivid and genuine, are aimed not so much at punishment, but at awareness of one's mistakes and preparation for the next rebirth, or for ultimate liberation. Ultimately, all inner trials lead the soul to choose its future path, either toward perfection and rebirth in higher worlds, or toward complete liberation from the chains of the cycle of birth and death. An essential aspect of this concept is the belief in the necessity of the living being's presence in the fate of the deceased. Tibetans are convinced that the soul cannot pass through Bardu, the intermediate state, on its own and without help from others. Therefore, during the 49 days, close relatives and friends are required to remain closely by the deceased's side to share in their difficult journey. Their compassion, prayers, and genuine care, in their view, can create better conditions for the soul to endure this challenging test. This belief includes confidence that support from loved ones helps the soul to be reborn in a more exalted, noble, or pure form. Conversely, if relatives forget about the person and do not arrange prayers for them, their soul risks falling into lower realms, areas of suffering and despair where even more terrible trials await. The core message of Russian and Tibetan traditions is that death is not an absolute end, but merely part of an infinite cycle in which each individual plays a role. This teaching emphasizes the importance of family bonds, compassion, and the capacity to forgive, since these qualities help the soul find peace or prepare for its next rebirth. These views highlight a person's inner strength, their spiritual responsibility for the fate of others, and the belief that despite the transient nature of mortal departure, within each remains a force and potential for spiritual growth. Now let us turn to a completely different topic, which, nevertheless, is connected to the notions of time and antiquity: the discovery of a unique artifact. On one summer day in 2011, a research team stumbled upon a mysterious object whose origin pointed to a story millions of years old. This object was a giant egg, approximately 66 million years in age, found deep beneath the ice sheet in Antarctica, south of the continent. In size, it resembled a massive, nearly deflated, leathery mouse or a ball about 15 meters in diameter, and in shape, a compressed, twisted ball frozen in isolated subglacial silence. The length of this fossilized formation was about 28 centimeters, and its width around 16 centimeters, making it quite large for such finds and immediately attracting special attention from scientists. None of the expedition members could determine its relation to known fossils or remains. Its shape and structure were so unusual that experts puzzled over a long time trying to understand exactly what they were holding in their hands. Most likely, it was a key to unlocking the mystery of ancient oceanic worlds and how marine life developed more than 1 million years ago. Part 5 of 44. This artifact did not resemble typical fossils or any known species with which we are familiar. It appeared as a mysterious, compressed mass, and despite its considerable age and unusual shape, it preserved an enigmatic structure that vaguely resembled shriveled skin or a dense ball hidden beneath layers of ice and perpetual cold. Ultimately, none of the specialists could determine exactly what they had found, and each increasingly convinced themselves that this object was markedly different from previously discovered remains. It was far from an accidental find. Rather, it served as a key to understanding long-extinct underwater ecosystems, kept in the shadows of the deep layers of our planet's history, and perhaps opened new horizons in the study of ancient species and their evolutionary paths. For nearly a decade, this mysterious object remained tucked away in the dark corners of the storage facilities at the National Museum of Natural History in Chile, almost unnoticed or eliciting only rare curiosity from visitors. Its unusual external appearance caught the attention of only the most attentive researchers, raising numerous questions and hypotheses. For a long time, it remained shrouded in an aura of mystery until finally, in the year 22 of the 21st century, a team of scientists from the University of Texas decided to conduct a thorough study using cutting-edge technologies, and science once again made a stunning discovery. To their surprise, it was revealed to be fossilized remains of a very large eggshell. But not just any large eggshell. It possessed a rare and extraordinarily soft type of eggshell material that science had never encountered before. The discovery of this fossilized egg was particularly significant. It turned out to be the largest among all known fossilized eggshells to date, and only exceeded by eggs laid by an extinct bird known as the elephant bird of Madagascar, famous for its impressive size. This find immediately drew intense attention from experts around the world. Studies indicated that this enormous shell belonged to a marine reptile that lived in ancient oceans more than 66 million years ago. Probably a mosasaur or a plesiosaur, creatures that once dominated the aquatic realms of our planet and ranked among the fiercest predators of that era. What especially surprised scientists was that this discovery completely overturned their previous notions about the reproductive methods of such marine dinosaurs. What was previously believed was based on the absence of fossil evidence of eggshells associated with these reptiles, supporting the idea that they gave birth to live young directly underwater. However, this recently uncovered find opened a new chapter in their understanding of the biological features of their ancient ancestors. Part 6 of 44. In contrast to them, most people ended their journeys on what were called asparagus meadows, virtual fields covered with the pure white blossoms of this nectar, where calmness and uniform tranquility reigned. There was no particular passion or great trials. Everything proceeded quite peacefully and unremarkably, as if life, once finished, transformed into eternal rest, without special worries or upheavals. In ancient Greece, special attention was given to one of the most mysterious and fundamental aspects of their cultural beliefs, the world of the afterlife. It was there that a special regal peace existed, appreciated by gods and humans alike, a place called Hades. In this mysterious realm, souls existed in a state of eternal serenity, free from both joyful unrest and the bitterness of loss. Their image can be imagined as silent shadows, tirelessly flowing through endless streams of time, which fade into infinite darkness, attracting neither attention nor fear. These souls existed in a state of repose, inaudible existence comparable to the quiet and infinite flow of shadows, akin to unseen forces lurking behind the horizon of earthly life. However, alongside this, the ancient Greeks believed in another place where the souls of sinful people, or those whose deeds on earth had earned them special punishment and suffering, would go. It was called Tartarus, the underground realm of torment, where the most gruesome scenes of punishment and passion were played out. This was a space filled with endless torments, grim trials, and eternal pain. In this realm, souls that had committed serious crimes or had earned punishment at the cost of their lives endured cruel tests. They felt not only the sharp sting of memories of their deeds, but also suffered in ways comparable to the most terrible tortures. There, in the depths of Tartarus, sinners endured endless suffering, their screams and agony becoming part of an infinite mirror of their lives. And this was the place where they were punished for grave misdeeds, with their fate being one of the darkest themes of ancient myths or legends. When it comes to Chinese conceptions of the afterlife, their picture differs significantly from Egyptian or Tibetan ideas. Their notions were less precise, with more blurred boundaries, and focused less on detailed descriptions of the afterworlds and more on the belief in spirits, ghosts, and the constant presence of unseen forces dwelling among people even after they pass away. The Chinese believed that the human soul does not completely disappear after death. Rather, it does not dissolve, but continues to exist and remains connected to the world of the living. In their beliefs, souls could become wandering ghosts, beings that are sometimes benevolent, bringing good fortune, and sometimes malevolent, harboring grudges and threatening to return to take revenge or simply to remain on their native land. In Chinese folklore and legends, there are many images that help to understand the subtle structure of the spiritual world. Among them, the Nehe Bridge holds a special place, a sacred passage symbolizing the connection between the living and the dead. According to legend, every soul must cross this bridge to enter the afterlife. It was believed that if a person led a virtuous life, was just, kind, and honest, they would be allowed to cross and continue their existence in a better world. Otherwise, sinners would be cast into a dark and harsh paradise, which was envisioned as a multi-layered underground prison. The ancient Chinese underworld was depicted as a complex structure composed of 18 levels, each designated for punishing specific types of crimes. These levels were far harsher, more brutal, and more terrifying than the most painful circles of hell described in Western myths. Every crime had its place and particular punishment. Villains who committed various offenses were sent to their corresponding levels, where they endured special torments and suffering. Thus, the Chinese placed great importance on the chain connecting the living and the dead, believing that the spirits of ancestors constantly protect their descendants, reminding them of their duties and the importance of maintaining good relations with them. Their culture contained numerous legends about spirits dwelling in aquatic elements. The ghosts of those who drowned, their bodies still undiscovered, which were considered especially dangerous. According to beliefs, these spirits sought to return to our world to regain a body and continue living among humans. In ancient times, it was thought that improper burial rites or neglect of the burial place could prevent the soul from finding peace, causing it to become a ghost. Such a ghost, lurking in shadows or dark corners of underground depths, could haunt families or society at large, creating anxiety and suffering. That is why meticulousness in funeral ceremonies, adherence to traditions and rituals was regarded not only as a duty, but also as an essential responsibility. To maintain harmony between the two worlds and prevent restless spirits from appearing. Looking back at all of this helps one understand how strongly belief in the existence of supernatural forces and spirits shaped the worldview of ancient Chinese people. The fear of returning spirits, the danger posed by water ghosts who have lost their bodies, and the belief that the souls of the departed who have not found peace could reappear and harm the living. All of this was part of their worldview. Such perceptions fostered strict rituals, the observance of which became an integral part of daily life. The belief in retribution for neglected duties, the fear of supernatural beings, and an inner sense of the need to maintain a balance between the living and the dead. All these ideas were deeply rooted in their culture and in each individual's soul. The reflection that there is a great power, unseen by the eye, both good and evil, led to the practice of continually observing traditions to ensure peace for those who have passed away long ago and to protect the living from potential threats. It was especially emphasized that respect and reverence for ancestors are not only a duty, but also a guarantee of harmony with the surrounding world, its balance and stability. It is also worth noting that ideas about the afterlife and the cultures associated with it were not limited to China alone. In the traditions and cults of the indigenous peoples of North America, who inhabited warm and wide plains, similar mystical views on the connection between the living and the dead have been preserved. They also believe that sacred forces exist within each person and nature, capable of transitioning from the world of the living to that of the dead and back. These beliefs further reinforce the necessity of honoring ancestors and performing certain rites to maintain harmony within the clan and throughout society. Like the Chinese beliefs and fears related to ghosts, spirits, and those who have lost their bodies, these ideas permeated all layers of ancient folk myths, making them an integral part of their life and culture. They fostered a respect for the mysterious boundary between worlds and the constant need to pay attention to religious and ritual traditions. Since ancient times, people believed that the souls of the deceased possessed a special power, capable of returning to this world if their bodies were not properly buried or were buried with incorrect rituals. These convictions gave rise to a powerful tradition of strict observance of funeral rites, which served as a justification for maintaining harmony and balance between the world of the living and the realm of the spirits of the dead. In various regions and cultures, these views were shaped by centuries-old traditions. However, they were especially prominent among the peoples of North America, such as the Blackfoot and the Shawnee, who lived on endless plains. These tribes developed their unique worldviews in which death was not perceived as the end of existence, but rather as a transition to another, deeper and more mysterious world. The belief that souls continued to exist after death and had to be respected largely contributed to the development of their spiritual traditions and rituals. These rituals were not merely religious acts, but also an essential part of the people's life, strengthening their bond with nature and filling their eternal striving for harmony with the surrounding world with meaning. In their worldview, respect for the departed was akin to respect for nature itself, for each soul was considered part of this vast living system that required careful treatment. The influence of these beliefs and rituals was so profound that each settlement or tribe developed its own understanding of the afterlife, often attributing special significance and unique nuances to it. For the Blackfoot people, death was not viewed as something terrible or shameful, an event that provoked fear or revulsion. They believed that after leaving this world, the soul would travel east, to the legendary land called the Sand Hills. This place, rooted in their faith, was seen as a realm of peace and tranquility, free from terrifying gods and harsh trials, merely a quiet rest for those who transitioned to another world. Such a view made death a natural and non-frightening stage of life, and the path to the Sand Hills a logical continuation of existence. A distinctive feature of their ritual was that they avoided traditional burial practices involving burying the body in the ground. Instead, they raised the deceased into trees, believing that this practice helps the soul detach more quickly from the material world and facilitates its journey to eternal rest. Branches of trees served as peculiar homes for the bodies of the dead, and nests became sites where the flesh could be eaten by birds, returning nature to its natural cycle. When someone passed away, the entire camp would immediately gather to set out on a journey, dividing the deceased's belongings among close relatives. This ritual emphasized the importance of shared experiences and became an act of closing a chapter of life and inaugurating a new stage of existence. The Black-footed believed that such a practice helps free the soul so it can reach the Sand Hills, where the path to the White Sands, symbol of peace and liberation beyond this world, awaits. The Shawnee tribes, in turn, held different beliefs, filled simultaneously with intimacy and mysticism. They believed that the soul of the departed remains near the living loved ones for 4 days after death, during a special period when it continues to influence the fates of its kin. After this, according to their beliefs, the soul leaves the earthly realm and makes its final stop, Sion. This was, for them, a kind of destination that could be compared to the summit of an ancient, branched Milky Way, a place not only at the end of the soul's journey, but also a meeting place with ancestors and spiritual entities of the departed. Their legends said that it is precisely there, in spiritual Xi'an, that all the strength and wisdom of ancestors are concentrated, protecting clans and preserving their heritage. Interestingly, the Shani believed not only in the constant presence of the spirits of the deceased near their family circle, but also in the possibility of the soul's return to the world of the living. They thought that even after the passage to Xi'an, or other higher spiritual layers, the soul could visit its descendants in dreams. In such dreams, it might bring advice, comfort, or guidance, helping to maintain a connection between generations. This enduring bridge between the dead and the living not only strengthened family bonds but also became a vital element of their culture, ensuring that traditions and the memory of ancestors would not disappear over time, but continue to live in each individual's heart. At this edge of the world, a unique religion also took shape, which had a significant influence on the development of human civilization. This was Zoroastrianism, or the religion of fire, founded by the great prophet Zoroaster. This faith was considered one of the earliest monotheistic religions in human history, as its followers worshipped a single god, Ahura Mazda, who embodied light, truth, and goodness. Scholars of that time and later modern researchers believed that the teachings of Zoroastrianism introduced the concepts of the judgment of souls, suffering in hell, and the impending end of the world, the apocalypse, for the first time. Due to its depth and novelty, these ideas gradually infiltrated other major religions such as Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, profoundly influencing them. For the chosen followers of Zarathustra, every basic element of nature, whether fire, water, earth, or air, was sacred and pure. In their view, each manifestation of nature was a reflection of the divine essence, and therefore it needed protection from any form of desecration. This was especially true for the body of the deceased, as they believed that even burial or cremation could defile Mother Earth or disturb the sacred fire, which symbolized majestic purity and creation. Therefore, they avoided traditional burial methods, preferring other ways to honor their departed, to preserve the sanctity of natural elements, and maintain the balance between the spiritual and material worlds. Their faith taught them that every soul should leave this world pure and untainted, and that earth and fire were sacred means through which the purity of all elements of existence could and should be preserved. Instead of following more familiar and modern burial customs, the ancient inhabitants of the region we now call Eastern Europe practiced a special ritual known as the Tower of Silence. A unique feature of this ritual was that after death, the bodies of the deceased were carefully placed at the top of special circular structures often built in remote, secluded natural locations. These sites were deliberately chosen to provide birds feeding on the remains of the dead with easy access to the bodies, which often remained defenseless in open areas. Under the influence of sunlight and wind, the bodies decomposed quickly, becoming food for vultures. For their followers, the Zoroastrians, such a ritual was much more than a simple means of disposing of the body. They believed it helped the soul achieve freedom and purification, as their faith saw it as facilitating the journey toward light and truth, freeing the soul from earthly ties. They regarded this practice as a vital, sacred act promoting spiritual purity and transition to another world. Meanwhile, the Scandinavian Vikings adhered to their own beliefs, which, despite differences from Zoroastrianism, also emphasized the importance of spiritual purification and transition to a better life after death. For them, vultures represented not only a natural mechanism for disposing of corpses, but also a symbolic role in purifying the soul, freeing it from worldly burdens and preparing it for a new existence. After the flesh had fully decayed and the bones had whitened and purified in the bright sunlight, they were collected and placed into a deep, mysterious well inside the walls of the tower. Inside this structure, the bones continued their natural decomposition over a long period, allowing the environment to remain clean and orderly without contaminating the earth or sky. For the Vikings, such handling of the body was not in rejection of it, but rather a respectful, harmonious return to nature. The underlying understanding was that the entire process, fully aligned with the natural cycle, enabled the body to return to its natural balance and prepared the soul for transition. The Zoroastrians believed that only after complete decomposition of the physical remains and liberation of the spirit, a process that could take a considerable amount of time, could the soul attain true purification. Then it would become capable of preparing for the next stage of its existence, either rebirth in another world or attaining ultimate peace. Initially, in the ancient traditions of this people, such practices served not only as support for the spiritual world, but also as an expression of deep respect for the body and its natural cycle. However, today, in the rapidly changing world, these ancient rituals have come under threat of extinction. The vulture population has significantly decreased due to ecological changes caused by human activity, environmental pollution, and loss of natural habitats. As a result, many Zoroastrian communities, striving to preserve their ancient traditions, are forced to seek new ways and methods to uphold their beliefs and rituals in order not to lose their ancestral heritage. Regarding the Vikings' views on death, they saw it not as an end, but as a crucial transitional stage. For them, departing from this world only signified the beginning of another, higher form of existence, where the soul could continue its journey. Moral judgment or rationality was not the main focus. Rather, qualities such as courage, fearlessness, and achievements won on the battlefield played a vital role. Viking warriors who fell in battle and were chosen by Valkyries, divine female warriors, were taken to Valhalla, a majestic hall of Odin's glory, where feasts and endless celebrations awaited them, honoring their valor and fame. There, they were rewarded for bravery in combat and fidelity to their ideals. However, for many, the fate was different. Not all warriors managed to reach Valhalla. Some were sent to Folkvang, a peaceful and tranquil realm under the protection of the goddess Freya, where silence and serenity reigned. This place was intended for those who showed kindness and courage, even without martial glory. Part 13 of 44. Equally important was the place reserved for ordinary people, Hell, a gloomy and cold realm located underground. This world was, in a way, a frontier where a soul could continue to exist, but without solemn rewards or glory, without painful punishments. Within this region, there was an aura of calm and silence, remote from earthly joys. Yet it was not perceived as something terrible. For the Vikings, death did not mean the end, but merely a transition to another form of life, a continuation of existence in a different, non-earthly realm. These Scandinavian views were distinctive in their uniqueness. They were based on a belief in spirits that could not pass into another world due to unworthy or desecrated burials. Such spirits were called hogs, and they dwelled in abandoned mounds, evoking fear and apprehension. As a result, performing appropriate funeral rites was essential to ensure peace and protection for the souls. The inadmissibility of improper burials and desecration of the body was obvious. If a funeral was conducted improperly, the soul might not find peace and would return to the world of the living, becoming a draugr, a vengeful and dangerous restless ghost. Such a spirit could cause disasters, invading fields, spreading terror among the inhabitants, and harming both their people and their livestock. Therefore, preparation for death, careful observance of rituals, and remembrance of the departed became extremely important aspects of Viking life, as the fate of their soul in the afterlife depended heavily on them. Their beliefs and worldview always emphasized sacred values such as honor, bravery, and deep respect for the dead. For the ancient Romans, death was not merely a simple or routine event in a person's life. On the contrary, it was regarded as a crucial event capable of revealing to society the richness of family traditions, genealogies, and material achievements. In their culture, funeral rites became the most important act, during which reverence and restraint were expressed towards the deceased, and also ensured that their soul could find peace in the afterworld. The Romans firmly believed that a soul not properly laid to rest and lacking proper regard during the funeral could transform into a lemur, a restless and troubled spirit that would become a source of suffering for the living. In their view, the afterlife was a realm of shadows known as the orc, where souls continued existence without the vivid colors of life, akin to bodiless mists gliding through the darkness of the post-mortem world. However, for exceptional, outstanding individuals with high reputation and significant deeds, there was a possibility to ascend to the level of divine beings if their virtues and actions were duly honored and recognized by society and the gods. Roman funeral traditions included not only ordinary rituals, but also grand public ceremonies involving numerous participants. Part 14 of 44. On these processions, masks of the ancestors were displayed, symbols of familial ties, given to strengthen the continuity between the living and the dead. Such rituals held special significance, not only as a sign of respect for the deceased, but also for reinforcing family bonds and preserving the memory of ancestors so that their souls could find peace and well-being in the afterlife. For the Romans, funerals turned into genuine public spectacles. Each element emphasized the status and achievements of the deceased, as well as served as an expression of the family's social position and dignity. Noble and prosperous families built impressive tombs outside the city outskirts for their deceased loved ones. These graves were often decorated with marble statues and elaborate inscriptions recounting the virtues and deeds of the ancestors, thus expressing their legacy and memory for future generations. Particularly honored were memorials where wax masks cast from the faces of the deceased were created. On the day of the funeral, family members wore these masks so that during the procession they would portray the person, their virtues, and triumphant achievements. This ritual became a special way to preserve the memory and stories of the family line, as well as an expression of family pride and tradition continuation, ensuring that each new generation consciously and respectfully acknowledged their roots, understanding their importance and value. For more common citizens who did not possess such high social status, the funeral rites were simpler and more modest, but no less significant. Usually, the remains of the deceased were placed in niches of communal burial sites, known as columbaria. These shared tombs served as special places where the remains of many people living in the same area were kept. However, regardless of social standing, all Romans adhered to the common belief in the necessity of observing certain rituals, visiting graves, holding memorial feasts and prayers. These practices were considered the key to ensuring that the memory of the dead would stay alive in everyone's hearts and that their souls would rest honorably in the afterlife. The concept of Roman afterlife was largely borrowed from the Greeks, who envisioned Tartarus, a gloomy place where punishment awaited sinful souls. However, the Romans introduced their own ritual practices and ideas at each stage of the post-mortem fate, turning it into a continuation of earthly existence. In their culture, it was important to preserve status, honor, and heritage even after death, which was reflected through meticulously organized funeral ceremonies, monuments, and traditions. In this way, they sought to maintain the connection between life and death, preventing the complete erasure of a person's memory. One of the mysteries captured by time is the Valcamonica Valley, located amidst the majestic mountains of northern Italy. Over the centuries, this ancient region remains a unique stone chronicle, holding within it unexplored secrets yet to be revealed. Here, on the harsh and cold rocks, more than 300,000 carved images were left by an ancient people, the communes, enduring centuries of wind and rain. These images still silently tell stories of past times and secrets, preserving and protecting their history for ages. Discovered initially by climber Walter Lang in 1909, these petroglyphs immediately attracted the attention of scientists and researchers. They amazed with their antiquity and mysterious aesthetics, prompting thoughts about the people who created them and the role these images played in the culture and life of the ancient society. These testimonies of antiquity encapsulate a whole era, remaining a living reminder of the times when humans lived in harmony with nature and left behind traces filled with meaning and mystery, infused with centuries of history. Only in the 20th century, when qualified scientists and archaeologists began to investigate the mysterious sites in the Valcamonica Valley more closely, did it become clear how significant and important the discovery of these ancient relics was. Particularly in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, thanks to new excavations and careful surveys of these areas, it was established that this region holds unique information about ancient civilizations. But it was exactly in the early 20th century, in 1920, that the work of archaeologist Epe Banafani gave a new impetus to the unfolding story. This scholar conducted in-depth and detailed studies of the area, carrying out systematic surveys that helped uncover numerous new images hidden within rock layers and stone surfaces. As a result, it became evident how extraordinary and valuable this site was, what richness lay beneath the surface, and what an important role it played in the history of art and culture during the epochs when these images were created. Over time, with each new decade, new carvings were found in Valcamonica, transforming this area into something far more significant and valuable than the early research team had imagined. Consequently, these findings made it one of Europe's largest repositories of petroglyphs, and according to some estimates, it surpassed similar monuments found in other European countries in terms of richness. Moreover, thanks to these discoveries, Valcamonica became the first site in Italy included on the UNESCO World Heritage List, recognized for its exceptional historical, cultural, and artistic significance. Its importance extends beyond local archaeological finds. The Valcamonica Valley has become a kind of living legend, a place that sparks genuine interest among scientists and enthusiasts of antiquity. The legend of Valcamonic is composed not only of numerous carved figures and images created during the Neolithic and Bronze Ages that adorn stone surfaces, but also of mysterious and often inexplicable details carved alongside the main motifs. Among the brightest and most enigmatic discoveries are so-called ancient astronaut depictions, unusual figurines that provoke much debate and reflection among specialists and enthusiasts of rock art. These figures depict humanoid beings with large round helmets, holding objects resembling tridents or scepters, which seem to symbolize power or communication with other worlds. The attire of these figures, as well as their poses and details, sparks a flurry of interpretations. As some researchers suggest, these are depictions of extraterrestrial visitors or beings from other planets. Others, on the contrary, believe such images are mythical symbols created by ancient people to convey special knowledge or ritual ideas. Even more surprisingly, archaeologists have found within these carved figures a symbol that later became a true cult amulet, the so-called Rose of Comuni. This mysterious sign frequently appears on various stone surfaces and objects discovered in Valcamonic, and is also traceable in rock art of other ancient peoples and civilizations, whether in South America, Egypt, or other regions of the ancient world. Today, the Rose of Comuni has officially become a symbol of the Lombardy region, its cultural heritage, and a matter of national pride. This motif, rich in symbolism, was long regarded as a key to understanding the spiritual and ritual practices of the ancient peoples. It symbolizes, according to scholars, the connection between mankind and nature, or the cosmos, as well as its cultic meanings and deeper significance, which ancient cultures infused into their art and rituals. Beneath the outward appearance of these carved figures lies an entire culture that over time has nearly been forgotten. Who were these people? The Comuni. What were their motives and goals in creating such enigmatic and vivid images? Is there a connection between the astronaut figures with round helmets and the origins of the ancient peoples who inhabited these lands? Were these figurines symbols of particular beliefs, or perhaps evidence of contact with otherworldly beings? Debates about the meaning of these images continue to this day, captivating the minds of scientists and enthusiasts alike. Equally intriguing is the fate of a statue called the Iron Man, a rare artifact discovered in one of the Himalayan caves. This unique meteorite relic holds many secrets and questions related both to its origin and its history of creation. In 1938, during a wave of interest in the supernatural and mysticism, scientists and explorers traveled to Tibet under orders and support from the leading figures of Nazi Germany, particularly Heinrich Himmler, who initiated an expedition to search for ancient relics and mystical objects. Himmler, known for his obsession with the occult and desire to confirm the Aryan origins of the German people, supported this mission with particular enthusiasm, believing that the secrets of powerful and mighty civilizations were hidden within ancient relics. During these expeditions, despite dangers and hardships, the travelers made an unexpected and highly significant discovery: a small figurine, beautifully carved and expertly crafted. This find soon became known as the Iron Man and sparked much debate among scientists and historians. The statue was approximately 2.5 meters tall and weighed about 10 kilograms. Its appearance was striking due to its unusual design. It was decorated with a bright symbol, a swastika, which, despite its negative connotations in modern history, in ancient cultures represented fertility, the sun, or other vital ideas of peace and harmony. Over the centuries, this symbol became associated with tragic history related to Nazi ideology and the horrors of World War II. However, the true uniqueness of the Iron Man lay not only in its external form and the symbolism it bore, but also in the material from which it was made. Initially, it was believed to be cast from some special metallic alloy or composite. Yet after nearly 70 years and detailed scientific studies, researchers arrived at unexpected conclusions, determining that the statue was made from an entirely unusual material, unlike any known metal or alloy used in ancient or modern times. Thus, many mysteries and questions regarding the origin and purpose of this artifact remained unanswered, fueling even greater interest and debate among experts passionate about the secrets of ancient civilizations and the enigmas of history. Instead of being manufactured from ordinary materials, the statue was crafted from a very rare and unique meteorite stone known in scientific circles as a taxite. This particular meteorite is rich in valuable metals such as nickel and cobalt, making it extremely precious and rare. According to existing hypotheses, the meteorite fell to Earth several thousand years ago, approximately 15,000 years ago, in an area covering what is now Siberia and Mongolia. This fact prompted scientists and archaeologists to reconsider their views on the origin of this artifact, as it turned out that less than 1% of all naturally found meteorite samples contains such an unusual chemical composition. This fact, in turn, serves as evidence of its exceptional nature and possibly indicates a connection to a cosmic origin of the material from which the figure is made. Regarding the composition of the statue itself, it is indeed unusual and unique, and this has not gone unnoticed by specialists and researchers. Many of them speculate that such a complex material makeup provides grounds to consider it part of an ancient culture known as the Bon tradition. This religious system existed long before Buddhism spread in Tibet and represented a distinctive philosophical and spiritual tradition. According to legends of this people, objects that appeared on the ground after falling from the sky were considered sacred gifts from the gods. They were passed down from generation to generation, becoming priceless relics and symbols of divine power and protection. That is why it is believed that this statue, with its fierce and imposing facial expression, as well as a massive build, depicts Vairochana, the god of war and protector. In Tibetan mythology, Vairochana is regarded as a powerful deity capable of activating natural forces and standing in defense of the righteous. He was worshipped in places that combined sacred and dangerous spaces, locations where faith and fear intertwined, creating a special atmosphere of reverence and awe. It is astonishing that for decades this unusual statue remained in secrecy, hidden within one of the clandestine collections of Nazi Germany. Not everyone knows that in the mid-20th century, during their secret expeditions, Nazi scientists collected a multitude of mysterious artifacts, among which was this Iron Man. Moreover, no one suspected that the material from which it was made originated from space, from rare meteorite samples that fell to Earth centuries ago. The stories surrounding Alcamonica and this enigmatic statue intrigue researchers and enthusiasts of mysterious phenomena, raising numerous questions about how ancient people perceive the world around them and what symbols they use to express their knowledge, beliefs, or mythological ideas. Particular attention is drawn to the cave drawings in the Alcamonica region. These ancient images, preserved on stone walls for centuries, are especially striking in style and content, often depicting what are referred to as ancient astronauts. Perhaps these images are not mere artistic fancies or abstract symbols, but reflect the mythological or religious worldviews of those times. They feature shapes resembling helmets or tridents, which could symbolize not only warriors or priests, but also special spiritual or mystical figures. These images may serve as a reflection of ancient ideas about the cosmos, divine beings, or supernatural forces, which were simultaneously revered and feared. Their unusual forms, round helmets, tridents, and other symbols, are not necessarily evidence of contact with extraterrestrials. Rather, they reflect the inner world and worldview inherent to that ancient culture. A similar idea arises when studying the so-called Rosette of Comuni, a symbol found in various cultures around the world. This archetypical pattern or symbol may indicate deep connecting threads prevailing in human culture, or universal archetypes that humanity has used for millennia to understand the world. It serves as a kind of bridge between different eras and cultures, uniting ideas about eternal values, divine powers, or human destiny. As for the Iron Man statue itself, its meteoric origin makes it truly unique. This artifact not only demonstrates the craftsmanship of ancient artisans, but also emphasizes the importance they placed on the materials used to create sacred images. Apparently, the Bon culture attributed special significance to materials falling from the sky. They were believed to possess divine power, linked to the cosmos and higher forces. In this context, creating a statue depicting Vairochan becomes not just a religious act, but an expression of respect and reverence for cosmic forces. The connection with the Nazi expedition, which kept this artifact, adds a dark and grim nuance to the story. However, despite the obscure nature of this link, one cannot deny that the artifact itself, a testament to ancient beliefs and craftsmanship, holds particular significance It symbolizes not only the religious views of past eras, but also mankind's desire to comprehend and ascend to the cosmos through art and rituals. The images of Valcamonicus and Iron Man serve as reminders that our ancestors possessed rich imagination and a deep internal need to connect their lives with the cosmos. This was reflected in the creation of artistic images, rituals, sacred objects, through which they sought to establish contact with higher powers or unravel the universe's secrets. Probably, all these artifacts are not evidence of contact with extraterrestrials, but products of human thought, richly imbued with symbolism. Their mysterious nature continues to inspire scientists and researchers to new reflections, expanding our understanding of ancient civilizations and their spiritual worlds. Finally, the fact that this artifact was found and kept in the hands of a German expedition shows how deeply humanity is interested in the mysteries of the past and how often it is willing to conceal or distort the true meaning of rare and unusual discoveries. Most likely, those who held the Iron Man statue in their hands were people eager to possess powers or knowledge that seem inaccessible to the world. However, it is precisely these artifacts, despite the mysteries surrounding them, that continue to inspire us and convince us that the secrets and magic of the past will never completely vanish, but will always attract our curiosity and desire to understand the unknown. It was only in the year 2000 that scientists were able to thoroughly investigate and publicly reveal a unique archaeological object, an event that drew worldwide attention to an artifact previously almost overlooked by history and science. At that moment, this enigmatic item was perceived not just as a rare find, but as a crucial link connecting the fields of archaeology, history, and astronomy into a complex and fascinating network of knowledge. Since then, it has captivated both experts and enthusiasts of ancient mysteries, as its origin, significance, and true value have become the subject of lively debates and in-depth research. This small statue, concealed in the mysterious and harsh mountains of Tibet, acquired a special symbolic meaning, becoming a symbol of humanity's quest to understand the unexplainable secrets of the cosmos, the infinite and mysterious universe. It has become a kind of testament to the intertwining of ancient religious beliefs with modern scientific discoveries, a reminder of how human minds for centuries have sought to unravel the mysteries of the world's design. The statuette seems to have lodged itself in memory as a reminder of the endless interaction between cultural legends, myths, and scientific discoveries, which appear never to be exhausted and constantly inspire new reflections. Amid this rich archaeological and historical context, it is worth mentioning another astonishing find. In the remote hunting grounds of eastern Iran, in the arid and high-altitude region, lies the legendary ancient city of Shari Suk. It was there, in 2006, that one of the most remarkable artifacts was discovered. The oldest artificial eye known to archaeologists, named after the city destroyed by fire, a burnt city. This once prosperous center of a mysterious Bronze Age civilization was a living example of the uniqueness and technological mastery of ancient peoples. During excavations within one of the ancient tombs, researchers uncovered the remains of an extraordinary woman, whose height was approximately 1 meter, significantly exceeding the average height of women of that period. One of the most astonishing discoveries was the original jewelry made of agate and gold, a carefully crafted bronze mirror, and rare ceramic ware found near the remains. But the most surprising and integral element of this find was the artificial eye, removed from the left eye socket of the ancient woman. It remained almost intact despite the centuries that had passed and the soft, dark brown earth in which it was buried. This prosthetic, made from a mixture of natural bitumen and animal fat, was a masterpiece of craftsmanship and technological thought of its era. The material used was soft and elastic, making it ideal for shaping an artificial eye. It also served an important function by creating an effect of a moisture-retaining layer, which helped preserve tissues and protect the internal structures of the eye socket. These findings caused a real stir among scholars and specialists in the history of medicine and Bronze Age technology, as the level of detail achieved by ancient artisans was truly astonishing. In the art of making such prosthetics, extremely thin gold threads were used, with a thickness of less than 0.5 millimeter. Thanks to the master's ability to connect and wrap these threads, they created an incredible illusion of living blood vessels, while the iris and pupil were depicted with remarkably realistic detail. This artificial eye was not only intended for decoration, it was crafted with a special technology. It could slightly sway in rhythm with the head's movement, creating the illusion of a living gaze. Such details, it seems, were necessary for its wearer to feel more confident and dignified in their environment, whether at a formal gathering or during a ritual. Near the mummy, archaeologists found numerous items indicating the woman's high social status. Among them were rich gold necklaces, silver rings, exquisite porcelain vessels, and a bright bronze mirror shimmering in the light. These treasures reflected her elevated position in society, as only a few could afford such luxury. She may have been a member of the royal family or played an important role in religious ceremonies, possibly as a powerful and revered priestess. The discovery of the oldest artificial eye in the world not only broadened understanding of the technological and artistic capabilities of those ancient people, but also prompted scientists to reconsider the level of medical knowledge and blacksmithing skills of that time. The craftsmanship and precision of such prostheses indicated that healthcare, its restoration, and aesthetic correction were vital parts of life for people living more than 4,000 years ago. For many centuries, the name of the legendary King Arthur remained a symbol of nobility, bravery, and chivalrous honor in English culture, filling legends with stories of heroic deeds and noble acts that inspired generations to actions worthy of the highest ideals. Most people, even those interested in history and legends, are familiar with the famous image of the king, often depicted sitting at a round table in the legendary Camelot, surrounded by mystical figures. In this image, the king is seated in the center, surrounded by the powerful wizard Merlin, who possesses magical knowledge and a range of astonishing abilities, as well as the most renowned knights celebrated for their valor, courage, and loyalty. It is worth noting that each of these figures is part of a rich mythological heritage, filled with intriguing stories and symbols. Some legends even mention that the king's sister, whose name varies in different versions of the legend, once lived on the mythical island of Avalon, a place shrouded in mystery and mystical forces. However, the reality of this island remains a subject of debate and unfathomable secrets to this day, as its existence and location are still questioned, surrounded by an aura of mythological speculation. Despite many stories and legends, it is still said that Avalon is more than just an island. Many researchers consider it a symbol of eternal afterlife, or a place where legendary beings and magical powers banished from time are hidden. As for King Arthur himself, the question of his historical existence continues to spark intense debates. Evidence of his existence has yet to be found, and archaeological discoveries do not confirm either his life or his era. That is why many scholars and historians continue to discuss whether he was a genuine historical figure or a myth created, a figure intended to unite the collective consciousness and culture. One of the oldest documented legends related to King Arthur mentions a mysterious monument called Arthur's Stone, an ancient burial site located in the picturesque regions of England. Its origin is estimated to be about 5,000 years ago, which significantly predates the supposed age of the era of King Arthur by 1,000 years. This creation, dating back to the Neolithic period, is itself a major archaeological discovery, unique in terms of its age and preservation. Although the dates of this monument do not coincide with the dates of the legendary ruler's life, locals and researchers have long associated Arthur's Stone with myths and stories about the famous king, creating a mystical bridge between history and legend. The most popular legend narrates that once at this very spot, King Arthur fought a battle with a giant, a colossal being who dictated his own rules and posed a threat to peace. According to religion or tradition, during a fierce confrontation, the defeated giant fell to one knee, and the massive stone that served as a tomb or memorial then cracked in two, which many interpret as a symbol of a victorious battle and the triumph of justice. The second legend tells that the two depressions visible on the surface of this ancient stone monument are, in fact, the imprints of King Arthur's knees, made when he was praying or during noble spiritual exercises, calling upon the gods to protect the country from enemies. Despite the lack of confirmation for these stories and legends, Stone Arthur continues to remain one of the most famous mysteries, captivating interest not only among historians and archaeologists, but also among many tourists attracted by its antiquity and enigma. Today, even apart from the legend of King Arthur, this mysterious monument continues to draw attention with its historical significance, exceptional architecture, and the unique condition of its preserved details. Its magical aura combines elements of real history, the remnants that have survived over thousands of years, and unresolved mysteries that have puzzled scientists and mystics alike for centuries. This blend of facts and legends creates a unique atmosphere, giving Stone Arthur its status as a special monument of Britain. This ancient site evokes a mixed feeling of respect and mystery among researchers. It seems to hover on the border between reality and fantasy, serving not only as a memory of the past, but also as a symbol that many secrets of history still lie ahead, waiting to be uncovered. At the same time, nearby these enigmatic sites is the small island of Malden, part of the Republic of Kiribati, which is virtually unknown to the general public and holds one of the most concealed and mysterious pages of archaeology. Few people know what it truly hides. When people think of Kiribati, they usually imagine exotic scenes of coral reefs, white beaches, and seemingly deserted, lifeless atolls surrounded by the vast Pacific Ocean. But few suspect that within this archipelago, there is an island harboring secrets that have yet to be fully uncovered. On Malden, a modest and seemingly unremarkable island, remnants of ancient stone temples and structures lie scattered, presenting a genuine mystery for archaeologists. The most astounding part is that no one still knows who built them, in what era they were constructed, or for what purpose these structures were created. What especially strikes are the facts that there is no fresh water on the island, and that the climate is often quite harsh and inhospitable. Today, it serves as a small refuge for seabirds and often attracts birdwatchers seeking shelter or food. Nevertheless, when a team of archaeologists and researchers first arrived here, they were amazed to find carefully designed and surprisingly well-preserved stone constructions, which appeared to be tall platforms and broad bases extending along paved stone pathways. It is these structures, known as marae, that resemble typical Polynesian temples and shrines in their architecture, although their remoteness, isolation, and lack of written remains make their origin the subject of numerous hypotheses and guesses. These mysterious constructions continue to hold many secrets, and every new investigation only raises more questions. As a result, Malden remains one of the most intriguing archaeological enigmas of the modern era, with the mystery of its origin and purpose remaining beyond reach, encouraging scientists to pursue new discoveries and theories. Some scholars suggest that the ancient temples on this remote island could have been built by Polynesian navigators who occasionally stopped here during their long voyages across the vast Pacific Ocean. These sailors, possessors of remarkable maritime knowledge and skills, might have inadvertently or deliberately left their marks on this tiny piece of land. devoted to the elements and distant from the centers of civilization. Others hypothesize that these ancient structures were created by an entirely unknown and vanished civilization that existed long before Europeans arrived in these lands. Strangely, the lack of fresh water sources and harsh climatic conditions make a permanent population on this island unlikely, further adding to the mystery and intensifying questions about the origins and purpose of the constructions. These stone temple complexes, standing for centuries under the relentless forces of waves and tropical storms, conceal their secrets as if drawing attention and inspiring the imaginations of historians and archaeologists. They remind us that even in the most isolated corners of the universe, human footprints can be left, and the mysteries of the past continue to challenge our knowledge of ancient civilizations and their tools. These ruins are not merely accidental remnants of a bygone era. They are evidence of once thriving communities. Among the stone remains, archaeologists have discovered a network of distinct pathways and trails connecting individual temples, creating the impression of a small but significant settlement. According to scientists, the population of this place at its peak probably did not exceed 100, perhaps 200 people, indicating a considerable organic community capable of organizing such a complex and extensive infrastructure. Debates and discussions about the origins of these mysterious inhabitants of Malden have continued for many years. Who were they? How could they have built such grand structures on such a remote island? Some researchers believe that this architecture resembles the culture of Polynesian islands, especially due to the characteristics of the stonework and layout, which are similar to other monuments found across the Pacific Ocean. Others propose hypotheses about connections with Minoan cultures in the southwest, or suggest that even a group associated with the Nandala megalithic complex could have penetrated here. A site located over 34 kilometers away, possibly crossing the ocean to leave their mark in a new place. What truly amazes and impresses scientists is how such massive temples were constructed. From heavy stone blocks with incredible durability, despite the relatively small population, which most likely never exceeded a few dozen people, possessing the skills and knowledge necessary to implement such grand architectural plans. In addition to the sacred structures, other intriguing objects have been discovered on the island. Paved roads made of stone slabs leading toward the sea and extending into deserted, barren areas where only sand and salty water now remain. The purpose of these roads is a mystery, as no signs of their use as residential or inhabited areas have been found. They resemble ancient ceremonial pathways leading to specific, sacred sites. The times when these structures served their true purpose are lost deep in antiquity, and many details have completely disappeared beneath the layer of time and natural elements. However, some elements have survived to this day, raising numerous questions among researchers. The temples at Moldena act as a kind of monument to a vanished culture that once existed on these lands, and left behind only stone traces, unsupported by written records. Currently, there are no legends, local traditions, or stories that could shed light on those ancient times. All such knowledge has been lost. Archaeological excavations have not revealed inscriptions or artifacts that could help identify their creators or understand their social structure. This island civilization seems to have disappeared as mysteriously as it appeared, keeping its secrets in the eternal silence of the sea's surface. To this day, Moldena remains a treasure trove of mysteries. An island not fully unraveled by human reasoning, and its ancient temples continue to guard their secrets, resisting attempts by modern researchers to decipher them. In such a desolate and silent environment, amidst endless oceanic expanse, this small island peacefully rests in eternal silence, carrying within it the memory of a long-extinct culture. Its ruins still retain their unexplored secrets, often causing scientists to stumble in their guesses, trying to understand for whom they were intended and how it was possible to create such grand structures in complete remoteness from mainland continents and major civilizations. Within this mysterious story lies a curious event from recent years: the archaeological excavations carried out in the small Welsh town of Haverford, where a discovery was made that shocked the scientific community and left behind many unresolved questions, forever changing our understanding of possible migration routes of ancient peoples and the origins of forgotten civilizations. When archaeologists began digging beneath an old, long-abandoned shopping center, few expected to find such ancient and enigmatic traces of the past beneath this modern building. Their findings were unexpected and astonishing, as they indicated the existence of once grand and regionally significant religious complex, the Monastery of the Holy Savior, which in the distant Middle Ages served as a center of spiritual life, as well as the residence of the Black Brothers, an order of monks closely associated with the well-known and widespread Dominican order in Europe. This monastery undoubtedly played an important role in shaping the religious, cultural, and social traditions of the area, influencing the destiny of its people and the history of the region for several centuries. However, as the soil layers parted and archaeologists began to unexpectedly unearth not only fragments of bones, but entire remains from beneath the ground, a series of alarming and even macabre evidence emerged. Initially, the excavations revealed dozens of bones in the earth layers, some of which were strangely found in distorted, unusual positions, as if the person or group of people buried there had been trying to hide or conceal something, perhaps under cover of night or out of fear. Throughout the dig, individual fragments of human skeletal remains were repeatedly found, and the further the work progressed, the clearer it became that the number of discovered remains significantly exceeded initial expectations. Ultimately, around 100 skeletons were uncovered near the foundation of the ancient monastery. The most astonishing, and at times disturbingly provocative, discovery was that approximately 1/3 of these skeletons belonged to infants and young children, individuals under the age of 4. This finding raised a series of important and ambiguous questions among scientists and researchers about the tragic events that took place many centuries ago. Perhaps it was a large-scale epidemic that claimed the lives of many innocent children, or maybe a bloody religious ritual for which only dark references remain in forgotten sources. There are also theories that these remains are the result of a tragedy that happened within the monastery walls, or the invisible consequences of diseases that spread among children or adults of that era. Historical sources relating to the period when the Church of the Holy Savior was under the control of the Dominican order state that it has been managed by them since the 10th century, and then operated for about 300 years, ending its activity in 1530 during the widespread religious reforms that swept across England. After the monastery's closure and subsequent forgetfulness, its lands and buildings gradually fell into neglect, turning into ruins, and the memory of them virtually vanished. Over time, this historic site was forgotten, and its lands, deprived of their former purpose, were transformed into an empty, unremarkable piece of land that was soon developed. On its site was erected a new shopping center. The closure of the monastery and its cemetery marked the end of the religious life of the Black Brothers, and with their departure, many secrets connected to the fates of the people who lived and died there disappeared, leaving only a dark echo. Archaeologists, striving to understand the true significance of the events that took place, conducted numerous studies and compared the discovered remains with existing historical and medical documents, but they were unable to conclusively determine why so many infants had died there. No obvious signs of violent injuries or diseases indicative of a mass disaster were found in the skeletal remains or archival records. Some speculated that it was a burial complex for victims of a large-scale epidemic that affected the region during those harsh times. Others believed that these infants might have belonged to poor local families, who, in hope of saving their children, entrusted them to the monastery, expecting help and protection. But alas, it all ended in their tragic death under the harsh conditions of medieval life. Whatever the cause behind this mystery was, this discovery gave scientists an extraordinary opportunity to reflect on real life, as well as on the tragedies that claimed the lives of innocent souls in those distant eras. The found defenseless skeletons of the mysterious mass buried beneath the floor of the ancient monastery raised numerous questions about faith, traditions, and the tragedies that shaped and rooted themselves in this vanished, long-forgotten epoch. In even more remote and vast regions of the African Sahara lies an extraordinary and unique geological formation that has attracted scientists and explorers for many decades. Known as the Eye of the Sahara, or in more scientific terms, the Richat structure. This mysterious formation is a massive circle created by nature and surrounded by numerous concentric ring structures. It resembles a giant fingerprint, making it particularly recognizable among numerous natural formations in the desert. This impressive eye-shaped crater stands out against the endless, bright golden sands of the Sahara, creating a stunning and mysterious landscape that captures the imagination of everyone who sees it. The natural formation spans nearly 50 kilometers in diameter, and its size is so great that pilots flying over North Africa often use it as a ground reference point, aiding in navigation and orientation across the desert expanses. Over the years, the Eye of the Sahara has become the subject of numerous hypotheses and speculations, sparking keen interest among scientists and enthusiasts of mysteries. The most popular and widely accepted hypothesis suggests a potential connection to the legendary Atlantis, the mythical sunken city described by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Many researchers and mystery enthusiasts believe this site could be the remnants of the vanished civilization that Plato described in such detail. According to their theories, the ring-shaped structure and the enormous dimensions of this formation perfectly match Plato's account of the submerged city surrounded by concentric rings of land and water. In their view, this legendary Atlantis may have disappeared after a grand cataclysm, such as a global flood, which forever altered the world's landscape. However, modern scientists and geologists propose their own explanations for this phenomenon. They are convinced that the Eye of the Sahara is not the remnants of an ancient city or ruins, but the result of millions of years of Earth crust formation and geological erosion processes. In their understanding, this structure was formed through natural processes like weathering, uplift, and subsidence of the Earth's layers caused by tectonic plate movements, leading to the creation of these concentric rings. Hydrogeological and geological studies indicate that such formations could have arisen approximately 100 million years ago, long before the emergence of the first human civilizations, making them much older than thousands of years. All of this makes the Eye of the Sahara a unique, natural wonder that continues to amaze and inspire researchers. Despite modern scientific explanations, the hypothesis about its possible links to ancient civilizations and legends persists in the minds of those seeking the origins of vanished times and forgotten worlds. The renowned legend of Atlantis continues to fuel human imagination, transforming this mysterious structure into a symbol of the hidden secrets nature and history keep. Over many years, wind, water, and sharp temperature fluctuations characteristic of the desert climate slowly erode the layers of limestone, sandstone, and other minerals covering the Eye of the Sahara. As a result of this complex process, unique concentric formations are created, attracting many tourists and researchers from around the world today. Geological studies indicate that this area may have experienced powerful earthquakes in the past and was likely flooded by seawater tens of thousands of years ago. This is evidenced by the presence of white salt on the surface, which can still be observed in the layers of circular formations. All these signs support the theory of an ancient catastrophe that suddenly altered the landscape of this land. Despite strict scientific explanations, the Eye of the Sahara continues to allure with its mysterious atmosphere, captivating adventurers and explorers eager to uncover the secrets of this unique natural structure. Many still believe that beneath the layers of sand and limestone, there could be hidden, perhaps crucial, evidence of the existence of the oldest human civilization or a sunken world. Of particular interest are archaeological coincidences and parallels with ancient myths about Atlantis, which are seen not just as coincidences, but as potentially key clues to solving the mystery. These people believe that the Eye of the Sahara is not merely a natural formation, but a kind of entry or hint toward a completely new chapter in human history. In their view, accidental archaeological discoveries, like those recently made, could become turning points, opening new horizons of knowledge. For example, in the 1940s in Poland, near the quiet Vistula River, an extraordinary find was made that forever changed perspectives on the region's history. Archaeologist Arkady Kuryaga and his colleagues discovered a bronze saddle and an ancient axe, estimated to be about 2,500 years old. These artifacts served as a vivid testament that, in ancient times, this land was home to civilizations with their own characteristics and development stages, which had been scarcely known until then. This discovery is particularly noteworthy not only because of its age, over 5,000 years, but also because it embodies the unique history of the people who used these items at the dawn of human civilization. When Arkady and his team finished another day of fieldwork and prepared to leave the excavation site with the discovered artifacts, their metal detector suddenly picked up an unusual signal, clearly different from the ordinary, emanating from beneath the ground. At that moment, all members of the expedition felt excitement and a sense of anticipation for a remarkable find, as no one could have imagined that they would soon stumble upon fragments of history, the echoes of a nomadic culture once inhabiting vast Eurasian steppes, and traces of Scythian warriors. Before the archaeologists could grasp the full significance of the upcoming discovery, their attention was drawn to a saddle ensemble, expertly crafted from thin bronze sheets, neatly fastened together with metal cords and buckles. It was a work of exceptional craftsmanship, undoubtedly impressive with its complexity and elegance, especially considering that it dated back to the Iron Age, a time when such items were just beginning to emerge and develop. This object clearly indicated a high level of artisanal skill that surpassed its era, proving that even then, people possessed not only practical knowledge, but also the ability to create everyday items that could rival modern perceptions of art. Alongside this saddle, archaeologists discovered an axe identified as a unique example of weaponry from those distant times. Its shape, composition, and material suggested that it most likely belonged to a Scythian warrior, a nomadic rider whose reputation inspired both admiration and fear. These riders were known for their exceptional agility, tireless endurance, and skill in fighting across vast steppes stretching from the southern borders of modern Russia through Kazakhstan and into Eastern Europe. They became famous for their horsemanship, craftsmanship in making special saddles capable of keeping the rider stable even at high speeds, and their weaponry, arrows, bows, and close combat weapons. It is important to remember that such knowledge and skills were reflected even in ancient Western sources, where the Scythians were often depicted as fierce, nomadic warriors galloping across endless steppes and armed to the teeth. The saddle and axe found in Poland became a real sensation because until then, it was believed that Scythian warriors rarely reached so far west. stories of their presence in Europe were mostly legends. This 2,500-year-old artifact essentially confirmed the hypothesis that the Scythian nomads could penetrate Central Europe and leave their traces related to cultural and military contacts. Such discoveries indicate that the nomadic military hordes, despite their temporal limitations, could have reached even the deep parts of the continent long before previously assumed. In other words, these ancient people, nomadic warriors, did not merely pass by. They likely undertook extended campaigns, established bases, and introduced new technologies, weapons, and traditions into local cultures, suggesting close connections between various regions of that time. The unearthing of the saddle and weapon, both over 5,000 years old, provided compelling evidence that Scythian clans and military formations had such a developed network of migrations and trade routes that they could reach both Gaul and Central Europe long before our era. This fact not only broadened our understanding of ancient history, but also opened new horizons for scholars seeking to comprehend how migration processes occurred, how cultures blended, and how interactions between peoples living across different epochs on the Eurasian expanses were shaped. Meanwhile, in distant Mesopotamia, in the famous city of Lagash, archaeologists uncovered a truly astonishing glimpse into ancient life. The deep layers of earth they examined at a depth of just under 2 meters revealed not merely another fragment of history, but a genuine treasure. The remains of an ancient residential structure confidently identified as a tavern. Its age is estimated at just under 5,000 years, making it one of the oldest archaeological sites ever discovered in the region. At that time, Lagash was one of the centers of the Sumerian kingdom, a major hub of trade, crafts, diplomacy, and culture. However, when people think of Mesopotamia today, they mostly envision grand temples, palaces, and royal residences that leave striking architectural marks. But this excavation introduced a new dimension to our understanding of that era, extending beyond these monumental structures. Working at a depth of about 2 meters, archaeologists found the remains of an ancient city tavern, a place where, it is believed, people gathered amid their daily routines for rest, socializing, and enjoyable conversations. Studying the remaining artifacts, researchers concluded that it was an open-air dining area equipped with long stone benches running along the walls, providing comfortable spaces for extended meals and talks. In the center stood a large oven for cooking, and nearby was a primitive refrigerator called Zir, an incredible device that used water to cool food. Imagine that, despite the fact that such inventions appeared long before electricity and modern refrigeration systems, people already found ways to keep their food fresh and safe to eat. What was most remarkable about the fragments found was that some ancient clay bowls still contained traces of cooked fish, a peculiar testament to how meals were prepared and how daily life flowed for the people of that time. One can only imagine how, in those eras, people gathered here to enjoy fresh, hot fish, likely served right on the spot in the company of friends and relatives, creating a warm atmosphere akin to the comfort of home. All this indicates that even in the most ancient times, people valued social interaction, relaxation, and simple pleasures, forging in their hearts genuine feelings of coziness and warmth that are still conveyed today when we visit traditional homes and restaurants. The discovery of a well-preserved and skillfully made central tavern in the heart of ancient Lagash was a real breakthrough, sparking a new turn in the study of the region's history. These archaeological finds vividly demonstrate that the conception of life among the ancient Sumerians was much broader and more multifaceted than traditionally perceived, which often focuses solely on religious rituals and military conflicts. Their activities were not limited to temple ceremonies and wars fought on the fronts of brutal battles. The Sumerian way of life was rich, varied, and encompassed numerous aspects of daily existence. Thanks to discoveries such as this ancient public area or tavern, researchers are able to gain a more complete picture of the people who inhabited one of the largest and oldest cities of Mesopotamia, Ur, which once served as a center of social, cultural, and economic life in the region. The scale of this metropolis, capable of accommodating thousands of inhabitants, is undoubtedly impressive in its richness and complexity. The people living in Ur engaged in a wide variety of professions, worked on agricultural plots, in craft workshops, and in marketplaces, serving society's needs in many different ways. They not only constructed magnificent temples and participated in religious ceremonies, but also found time for socializing with loved ones, simple pleasures, and communal relaxation. Such discoveries help us better understand that ancient Sumerians, despite their complex rituals and numerous state affairs, remained humans with a sincere inclination toward friendship, family ties, and community life. This is a vivid and touching testament that, even after thousands of years, the human desire for communication, shared leisure, and joy remains just as strong and alive. When history remembers legendary cities whose existence left an indelible mark through the ages, Jerusalem remains one of them. This city is a unique testament to centuries of conflicts, religious struggles, and spiritual quests. Few truly know that beneath its layered history lies an ancient defensive system that, in its time, could be considered an insurmountable obstacle for any invaders. Recent archaeological excavations led by experts from the Israeli Antiquities Authority, headed by specialist Amitaram, have made a truly impressive discovery. They uncovered a massive, deep, and powerful moat surrounding the old part of Jerusalem. It was not just a water-filled trench, typical of many European castles, but an even more formidable structure. This earthwork trench, in some places exceeding 10 meters in width and reaching nearly 7 meters in depth, was dug by hand, a testament to the skill and perseverance of ancient builders. The moat was located very close to the city's outer walls, serving as a barrier to slow down enemy armies and significantly complicate their task of capturing Jerusalem. Historians note that throughout the city's many centuries of existence, this moat played a crucial role in defending its inhabitants, serving as an impassable obstacle to enemy attacks. Its significance was especially evident during the Crusades, when enemies had to overcome this rare type of fortification to breach the city. According to ancient chronicles, the Crusaders and their allies needed at least 5 weeks, enough time to, with immense effort, cross this deep trench along with siege equipment and troops. Upon reaching the inner walls, enemies faced no less formidable defenses. Massive brick walls, cleverly concealed traps, and intricate systems of fortifications designed by the defenders to repel any assault. Many historical accounts, including written chronicles, describe how armies, after breaking through the moat, encountered boiling oil streams, arrow-covered barricades, and deceptive underground traps. Subterranean tunnels, so expertly concealed that discovering them was nearly impossible, were used by defenders for surprise attacks or to transfer reinforcements. Reconstructing this ancient system of moats allows researchers to gain insight into the military tactics and siege methods employed in those times, and to understand which techniques and solutions were most effective in the struggle to preserve the city. This archaeological discovery provides not only a new understanding of military history, but also offers a glimpse into the atmosphere of life among those who defended this sacred city, their courage and resilience in the face of deadly dangers. Ultimately, this ancient system of defenses, still evident in ruins and impassable trenches, remains a testament to the ingenuity, determination, and steadfast spirit of those who once fought for their land and faith. Jerusalem's deep moat is not merely a historical monument, but a living testament to centuries of struggle, embodying the resilience and unyielding spirit of peoples for whom this city was a symbol of hope and unwavering faith. It will forever leave behind the memory of heroic eras when defending one's home became a way of life, and the entire history of this city stands as a vivid testimony to the indomitable human spirit. The majestic and mighty Great Wall of China, stretching across endless deserts and vast steppes of northern China, remains one of the most striking and recognizable symbols of ancient Eastern civilization. This magnificent structure has become not just a line of fortifications, but a vivid symbol of the resilience, ingenuity, and strategic thinking of the peoples who inhabited these lands for millennia. The Great Wall of China is rightfully regarded as one of the greatest defensive systems in the entire history of the world, worthy of admiration not only for its scale and construction techniques, but also for the symbol of invincibility and protection it has become for Chinese civilization as a whole. For centuries, this monument inspired rulers of various dynasties to develop new strengthening methods, tested its strength, and served as a powerful political and military tool, securing the empire's borders from invasions by nomadic tribes from the northern plains. The grandeur of this wall and its strategic importance fostered a unique atmosphere of power and unity, and it is precisely because of these qualities that it has survived numerous tests of time and war. However, beyond its impressive external border, behind its mighty fortifications lie rich secrets, many of which remain mysteries for archaeologists and historians. In the remote corners of this diverse and abundant land, among rugged mountain ranges, treeless steppes, and rocky plains, numerous ancient fortresses have been preserved, many of which are almost completely buried under layers of time, sand, and wind. These ancient structures, often built from rammed earth, stone, and clay, served as strategic strongpoints erected to protect China from nomadic peoples who constantly threatened its northern borders, eroding its defenses. Some of them, like the legendary Duoguan Fortress, played crucial roles in guarding passes along the famous Silk Road. These outposts were equipped with sophisticated signaling systems, the so-called signal towers, that could transmit urgent messages over hundreds, sometimes thousands of kilometers, through a system of smoke and fire signals. Over the years, archaeological excavations in these areas have revealed not only fortified walls, gates, and defensive structures, but also a rich legacy of the everyday life of ancient inhabitants. Clay pots, bronze coins, food remains, and even wooden tablets with inscriptions narrating the lives of warriors and merchants residing in these distant outposts. These finds emphasize not only the military significance, but also the cultural aspect of these fortifications, making them part of a unified and diverse cultural space where different peoples and civilizations intertwined. Thus, the Great Wall of China and its associated fortresses were not only defensive lines, but also bridges linking regions through which the ancient Silk Road passed, facilitating not only the exchange of goods, but also ideas, traditions, and cultures. These centers became important trading hubs, meeting places for peoples, points of exchange for knowledge and experience, all contributing to the development and strengthening of great Chinese civilization. Today, these ruins allow us to glimpse deep into history, understand the scale and layered purpose of these structures, and appreciate the complexity of the processes that occurred during those eras. Recent studies conducted by a team of archaeologists from Shanxi province, led by the renowned specialist Yu Chun, have gifted the country with something truly unique. One working day, in the very center of a desert area known as Muz, scientists discovered an ancient fortress dating back nearly 500 years. What was especially valuable was that the structure was built during the Ming Dynasty, a period when Chinese rulers took continuous measures to strengthen borders to protect the country from sudden incursions by northern nomadic tribes, ready for swift attacks. The extraordinary value of this discovery lies in the fact that the ruins have been preserved almost unchanged, creating a unique opportunity to study an entire defensive system that once covered the key passes along the Great Wall. Inside this ancient fortress, archaeologists found a wide range of artifacts: terracotta statues, ritual figurines, incense burners, bones and remnants of food, as well as samples of weapons from various periods, indicating the diversity of military activities and domestic life of the defenders. These findings suggest that this site was not only an important defensive outpost, but also a control center for the passes, as well as a residence for warriors and border settlers whose presence was necessary to maintain order and defense. Despite the centuries, the fortification walls have preserved traces of numerous sieges, evidence of fierce battles. The architecture and interior layout also allow us to trace the development of defensive technologies and construction styles over the centuries. Continuous repairs, reconstructions, and improvements to the fortifications testify that this fortress was not merely a wooden structure or temporary protection, but a living, constantly evolving construction. Today, the discovery of this fortress confirms the existence of a broad and developed defensive system stretching along China's northern frontiers. It also uncovers chapters of the country's history, which long ago oscillated between military conflicts and periods of peace, when defense became especially important for maintaining the stability of the state. In recent years, interest in the mysteries of unidentified flying objects and possible parallel realities has significantly increased among scientists as well as among enthusiasts of anomalous phenomena. Among many unusual stories that evoke a lively response and raise numerous questions, a particular incident related to a man named Boris Kiprianovich, born in the 20th week of the 19th century, stands out. The extraordinary fate of this boy attracted attention not only from specialists, but also from ordinary, curious people. He is endowed not only with extraordinary abilities to learn and memorize facts, but also gives the impression that his mind somehow has access to secrets hidden beyond ordinary perception. From an early age, Boris amazed his parents and teachers with his remarkable capacity to quickly master complex subjects, demonstrating a level of knowledge and logical thinking often unavailable even to adults. However, the true sensation arises from his stories about past lives, about how he remembers his previous experiences while inhabiting the body of a modern individual. According to him, he once lived on a distant planet, which, apparently, was part of the Mars system, and he called himself Marsia, a world with a high culture and advanced technologies. Boris claims that his soul was once part of this civilization, destroyed by a devastating nuclear war that wiped out all its inhabitants. There is a sense in his assertions that he is not merely talking about fantasies, but about real memories, seemingly recorded in the subconscious, taken from a distant past. This boy asserts that the Martians greatly surpassed Earthlings in development, possessed the ability to interplanetary travel, and had knowledge and skills unavailable to modern science, often visiting Earth in eras not yet documented by historical chronicles. His stories become particularly captivating when he shares details that remain a mystery even to leading scientists due to their unusual and complex nature. He describes landscapes that, according to him, once adorned the Martian surface, destroyed cities unknown to anyone, and mysterious technologies that cannot be explained from the standpoint of current scientific understanding. The most intriguing thing he mentions is the so-called fateful secret, which in his opinion is hidden beneath the famous Egyptian Sphinx. He is convinced that a secret door is concealed beneath the massive statue, behind which lie knowledge capable of forever changing Earth's history. He believes that when humanity finally uncovers this secret, a new era of progress will begin, marked by great discoveries and shocks. Although the academic community has hardly made a definitive assessment of this set of claims, Boris's story has led to lively discussions both on internet forums dedicated to paranormal research and among broader circles, even within popular TV and radio programs focused on mystical topics. Supporters of the theories about reincarnation and various hypotheses about extraterrestrial civilizations perceive Boris as a potential witness to a connection that transcends Earth's history. As evidence of possible contact between Earth and other planets and civilizations. At the same time, skeptics oriented towards a scientific approach consider the boy's story merely a product of a vivid imagination, unsupported by any objective facts, the result of rare talent for fantasy and a tendency to exaggerate. However, regardless of what anyone says about his accounts, most people accustomed to the images of ancient Egyptian culture believe that they generally depict what we are used to seeing: majestic pyramids, mysterious gods with secret rituals, and formidable tombs built centuries and centuries ago in the epics of sages and pharaohs. But if you decide to visit the archaeological site at Abusir, just half an hour's drive from Giza, you will discover something truly extraordinary, something that defies the usual expectations. Here, among scattered stone remnants and ruins spread around the pyramid complex belonging to Pharaoh Sahur, archaeologists have found numerous holes carved into granite with astonishing precision and neatness. These holes, seemingly created with modern tools, feature nearly perfect shapes and impeccably smooth walls, raising even more questions among specialists. These perfectly rounded cutouts are found not only on the massive granite blocks used to construct the pyramid, but also in the vicinity of the ruins of a sun god temple, built back in the era of the ancient kings. It is especially striking that the walls of these holes are polished to a shine. Their shapes are exact, and their sizes are identical, almost as if they were made with advanced high-tech equipment, using ultra-fast drilling devices that, apparently, were completely out of reach for ancient craftsmen of that time. Scientists and archaeologists have tried to understand how the ancients could have achieved such results using only copper, stone tools, and other known instruments of that period. Experiments are still ongoing to reproduce such holes, employing methods that would fully align with Iron Age technology levels. But so far, no exact counterparts have been achieved. The time and effort spent on research confirm these technological mysteries remain unsolved, and even after many years of scientific inquiry and attempts to uncover the secrets of the ancients, there remains a sense that what we are facing is something far greater than mere art and craftsmanship. None of the current stone processing techniques can produce such a smooth surface or drill so deeply into one of the hardest and most durable materials on Earth: granite. This fact has become a real challenge for researchers, as modern technology quickly concludes that achieving such feats without the aid of specialized methods or extraordinary skills is impossible. Therefore, many scholars wonder how the ancient Egyptians achieved such astonishing results, given that their masters undoubtedly possessed unique knowledge and skills. They could have used not just standard tools that we are accustomed to working with today, but perhaps relied on mysterious techniques of stoneworking that are now lost, or on devices created by the progenitors of more ancient civilizations, remaining a mystery to us. Some experts suggest that these drill marks on granite could indicate the existence of prehistoric cultures long gone into the past, cultures that had much more developed craftsmanship and technical skills in stone processing than commonly believed. There are also other theories, such as the idea that the Egyptians inherited the secrets of drilling from craftsmen of neighboring lands, who possessed advanced technological knowledge, and that they somehow kept these secrets strictly guarded for centuries, passing them down from generation to generation. The truth remains hidden behind many mysteries related to the origin and technologies behind these incredible holes. However, regardless of which version is more accurate, the perfectly drilled holes in granite discovered in Abu Sur continue to be one of the most intriguing phenomena in the field of archaeological research into the Egyptian era. These findings not only astonish modern science, evoking admiration and wonder, but also provoke us to consider the more complex, profound, and sometimes mysterious nature of humanity's past. They compel us to revisit the belief that we fully understand ancient technologies and methods, since such discoveries show that the past may be far more enigmatic than it appears at first glance. The ancient period proved to be far more complex, powerful, and mysterious than one might have assumed based on existing evidence. Its secrets reach deep into the depths of history and continue to surprise scientists because the entire ancient world preserved in its monuments, ruins, and inexplicable devices, scenes hidden behind centuries of time layers. The focus is on the city of Harla, located in the arid and lifeless lands of the eastern region, which for a long time remained a place filled with mysteries and secrets, about which legends and stories depicted it as a city of giants. The local inhabitants, through their language and beliefs, long dubbed it the City of Giants, as its impressive stone ruins, enormous walls, and unique architectural structures sparked their imagination, creating the impression that such monumental constructions could only be built by supernatural beings or very ancient civilizations possessing immense knowledge and power. However, only in recent years, thanks to modern archaeological research and excavations conducted by scientists from Zeit University, has the hidden truth about the essence of this remarkable place been uncovered. Excavations carried out in the Harla area have proven to be surprisingly successful, revealing to the world its unique history and the deepest secrets. Researchers discovered impressive and imposing stone structures, buildings with massive walls, intricate geometric patterns, and lines, as well as a vast cemetery marked by hundreds of burials, each containing numerous signs of the ancient peoples who once inhabited these lands. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Harla is not only its scale and the elegance of its ancient constructions, despite their impressive size, but most importantly, its rich and diverse cultural heritage reflected in the artifacts found within the layers of the earliest civilization. Among these are ceramic items, jewelry, coins, and even precious ornamental pieces, indicating connections with distant regions. This clearly demonstrated that Harla was once not merely a remote settlement, but an important international trade center, linking Africa with other land masses and serving as a crossroads of various trade routes spanning entire continents and connecting micro-communities, cultures, and peoples. Archaeological findings also shed light on the fact that many different ethnic groups with diverse traditions, languages, and religions lived in Harla. Some burials follow Islamic customs, while others are adorned with symbols characteristic of local religions and superstitions, all evidence of a unique cultural exchange and a complex historical space within this area. Researchers found proof of artisans and merchants who lived and worked closely with foreign traders and travelers, indicating global connections and the exchange of knowledge, technologies, and goods. All this makes Harla not only an important historical point, but also a living testament to the unique processes of interaction among peoples, cultures, and civilizations, where each era has left its mark, creating a multi-layered mosaic of ancient times. This image vividly conveys the idea that society in those distant times was much more dynamic, eventful, and open to innovation than the mythical legends of a city supposedly built exclusively by giants. Today, Harla serves not only as a symbol of Ethiopia's historical heritage, but also as a vivid testament to the rich culture, connections, and exchange of knowledge that existed in Africa during the medieval period. The city's powerful stone fortress walls have not only survived centuries, but also endured all the tests of time, confirming their strength and original majesty. These walls serve as a reminder not only of the might of the giants, about whom legends have been preserved, but also as a vivid testimony to the creative abilities, perseverance, and diversity of the peoples who once inhabited this extraordinary city. All that remain of the place observed today are a few remnants of the past, low-rise ruins scattered across the land, and the soft, golden sand covering the ruins. The architecture of the long-lost era exists only in the memories of witnesses to history, while the civilization itself endures in the form of barely recognizable traces of the once thriving city. Tunzan, also known in ancient times as Tunwanzen, was founded in the 7th century during the Xian dynasty. Its emergence is linked to the activities of an outstanding leading chieftain named Kilian Bobo, a man renowned for his strategic genius, daring plans, and ability to unite people in pursuit of grand ambitions. This city was situated in the heart of the desert region of Ardos, in northern China, and amidst the sands and dry winds, it seemed like an oasis of civilization. Its distinctive feature was the white color of the city walls, made from sand mixed with rice flour, giving them exceptional strength and grace. This bright white hue made Tunwanzen stand out against the harsh desert landscape, creating the impression of an airy and majestic city glowing amid the sands. From its very inception, the city symbolized the empire's drive to strengthen its position. Becoming a true center of attraction, armies, artisans, and settlers from all corners of the northern territories flocked here. Historical sources recount that Kilian Bobo, endowed with extraordinary strategic talent, mobilized hundreds of thousands of workers to build these mighty walls, which today are seen as symbols of strength, unity, and grand ambitions. Numerous earthworks and wall structures protected the city's inhabitants from external enemy raids, creating formidable defensive barriers. In this city, founded during the Xian dynasty, every resident felt under the reliable protection of these powerful fortifications, safeguarding them from enemies threatening from the endless desert and external forces. Nevertheless, despite its seeming impregnable nature, the development of Tunwanzen was intertwined with constant dangers and hardships. Living in this place was no easy task. Difficult terrain, a shortage of fresh water, and a variable climate made daily cares and tasks exceedingly challenging. At times, the city faced numerous threats, and its tumultuous fate occasionally plunged it into periods of crisis when it became the center of border conflicts and hostilities with neighboring states or tribes fighting for control over resources. Historians confirm that over several decades, the city suffered destruction, being burned after enemy attacks, covered in dust and smoke from fires, and its internal structures gradually decayed under the pressure of time and political upheavals that spared neither the city nor its inhabitants. In the end, centuries later, only countless ruins remain on the site of what was once a thriving center, bearing witness to the former grandeur of the Xian era. Earthen and rice terraces are destroyed, scorched, and eroded by winds, rains, and the relentless passage of time. Yet, despite all the destruction, the spirit of this place has not disappeared. It lives on in people's memory and in archetypes, serving as a reminder of human ambitions and how fragile civilization's achievements can be. Tunzan is not only a chronicle of a mighty people who once rose to the heights of glory, but also a powerful reminder that even the most impressive accomplishments can vanish if one fails to adapt to nature's challenges and prepare for unpredictable changes in fate. When modern people think of Antarctica, images of endless icy expanses immediately come to mind, guarded by stoic penguins and pierced by biting winds that cut to the bone. This image of awe and mystery creates a vivid impression of how lifeless and unpredictable this polar continent is, and how its harsh nature challenges any human attempt to conquer and comprehend it. Few know that approximately 250 million years ago, this icy and seemingly lifeless land, like the one we see today, was once home to an extraordinary creature that remains a scientific mystery to this day. In those distant times, during the Triassic period, at the very heart of Antarctica, lived a unique and extremely rare prehistoric reptile named Listaver. This mysterious creature, with its appearance, size, and features, was entirely unlike modern reptiles and animals, and it dominated these regions despite the harsh climate that had formed millions of years ago. Researchers from Harvard University, engaged in fossil studies, accidentally discovered remains belonging to these ancient beings, opening new horizons in understanding evolution. Thanks to this find, scientists gained the opportunity to examine not only the structure and internal features of Listaver, but also to look at its tusks, long, massive organs that likely served not only for hunting or defense, but also exhibited characteristic signs revealing its way of life. A careful study of these tusks, especially the analysis of growth rings, became the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of this giant creature's life. The scientists found that, according to these rings, Listaver experienced annual cycles of change, indicating its adaptation to the constant climate rhythms of that time. Research confirms that this reptile could undergo periods of growth and stagnation in development, suggesting it had its own survival strategies. Moreover, it was revealed that despite its size and strength, Listaver showed signs of sudden slowing in growth during certain years. This apparently served as evidence that he could enter a state of hibernation or semi-consciousness, much like an ancient bear that retreats into its den during harsh winters, minimizing energy expenditure and waiting out the difficult times. Such an adaptation was justified by the very harsh conditions Antarctica faced during those epochs. Long, months-long polar winters enveloping the continent in ice and darkness. These discoveries make the animal's resilience even more impressive. The ability to undergo a state similar to hibernation or torpor helped Listaver not only to avoid extreme conditions, but also to survive successfully during periods when most species simply could not cope with the brutal environment. This remarkable adaptation became a key to its survival and prosperity across the vast reaches of the ancient land, which at that time was part of a single supercontinent, giant Pangaea. This continent united territories corresponding to modern continents, including present-day Antarctica, which became a habitat for this unusual and hardy form of life. The groundbreaking discovery highlights not only the incredible flexibility and resilience of Listaver, but also suggests that ancient life could have been far more robust and adaptable than traditionally thought. This evidence should prompt a re-evaluation of our understanding of the development of living beings. The sleeping giant, rendered extinct millions of years ago, exemplifies how nature can craft extraordinary mechanisms for survival, even in the harshest climates. Additionally, such findings shed light on the origins and evolution of living organisms, indicating that complex adaptations have deep roots in ancient times. Thanks to these discoveries, scientists continue to unravel Earth's past mysteries, searching for the origins of life and expanding our knowledge of what plants and animals were like long before the age of dinosaurs, major catastrophes, and global changes. When most people think of Antarctica, they imagine an icy, wind-swept desert continent covered in endless glaciers where few living beings are encountered. This remote and inhospitable land is home to numerous unique species, such as penguin colonies and marine leopard populations, adapted to the extreme climate. However, beyond its reality, fascinating and sometimes mysterious theories constantly emerge around this land. One of the most famous being the Hollow Earth theory. According to this hypothesis, beneath the surface of the modern world lies not only a molten core, amassed as scientific consensus affirms, but also something extraordinary, a whole inner Earth with its own climate, ecosystems, and perhaps even civilizations, of which our current knowledge remains very limited. Some supporters of this theory claim that Antarctica is the key to the entrances of a long-hidden subterranean realm. They believe that beneath the eternal layers of ice, there are entrances and passageways leading to secret chambers filled with mysteries and our numerous speculations. Although this concept has existed for over 4 centuries and remains popular among science fiction enthusiasts, adventurers, and explorers, science has yet to confirm its plausibility. Modern geological research, extensive expeditions, and satellite observations show that the Earth's interior differs significantly from the fantastical scenarios often depicted in conspiracy theories. A scientific approach confirms that the inner layers of our planet have a complex, multi-layered structure, and while deep processes remain partly mysterious, they do not indicate the existence of a mythical underground world hidden beneath Antarctica or other continents. As a result, many myths and legends about hidden worlds, mysterious civilizations, and secret entrances are merely products of human imagination, dreams and guesses without solid scientific evidence. Nevertheless, the alluring power of the mysterious and mystical world beneath our feet has always been as strong and fearless as it was in ancient civilizations. This sense of mystery, extending beyond the limits of normal understanding, continues to captivate the minds and imaginations of many adventurers, scientists, and curious individuals. Especially today, the theory of an unusual and astonishingly mysterious structure of our planet's crust, specifically, the possible existence of vast underground spaces or even hidden worlds around Antarctica, remains actively discussed and sparks lively interest. Its discussion reminds us that despite a century of science, technology, and endless discoveries, Earth still guards numerous secrets that remain unexplored. Secrets awaiting those willing to risk everything for the search for truth and to question conventional knowledge. Among these mysteries is an ancient, long-forgotten wall, discovered in a region covered by ice. Just one of many enigmas that beckon and call for exploration of uncharted horizons. Modern advances and technological tools, such as high-resolution satellite imagery allowing us to observe the most remote corners of our planet, greatly expand human investigative capabilities. It is precisely thanks to these that recent images of Antarctic regions have triggered a wave of intense discussions and debates in international scientific forums and online communities. Beneath the thick layer of ice covering this continent, scientists have found astonishing volumes, strange lines, massive walls stretching hundreds of kilometers, and formations that can easily be mistaken for ancient pyramids or ziggurats built during the times of Mesopotamia and Egypt. These images are characterized by remarkably precise lines and accurate placements, raising many questions and debates about the nature of these structures. Is it possible that they are historic evidence of an ancient, long-extinct civilization that once existed precisely on this continent? Or are all these natural formations shaped by long millennia of glacial and geological processes that have taken place here over millions of years? Some independent researchers believe that such formations are too symmetrical to be purely natural. They draw parallels with well-known monuments of ancient peoples, such as the pyramids of Egypt or the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, constructed for religious rituals, knowledge preservation, or other sacred purposes, all achieved just a few thousand years before our era. At the same time, most reputable scientists who adhere to a traditional approach consider these structures to be the result of a prolonged and complex interaction of natural forces, winds, glaciers, geological movements, and the pressure exerted by ice on the Earth's surface. In the Antarctic ice sheets, one can observe fascinating processes in shape and origin that sometimes resemble man-made constructions or remnants of long-lost monuments. Although there is currently no conclusive evidence of submerged cities, ancient walls, or other artificial objects beneath the ice, the ongoing story of these mysterious formations continues to captivate the minds of millions around the world. This fact serves as a reminder that, despite the rapid development of science and technology, unresolved and enigmatic questions still remain. Questions that could alter our understanding of Earth's ancient history and its inhabitants. Perhaps in the future, with further expansion of our research and the use of even more advanced technologies, these mysteries will reveal their secrets, and we will learn about events that occurred long before the rise of the most famous civilizations. If this story resonated with you and sparked a desire to learn more, do not hesitate to share your thoughts, theories, or assumptions in the comments. And remember, our quest to uncover the world's unresolved mysteries continues. In upcoming publications, we will certainly introduce you to new, astonishing discoveries relevant to our interests and curiosity. Until then, see you next time, and may the adventures in the depths of the unexplored continue.